There's an argument to be made that Aipom is the most obscure Generation 2 Pokemon at time of release. The only way you could catch one for yourself is by headbutting trees in a very small number of locations, and to make matters worse, only 2 optional post-game trainers had one on their team. Aipom deserved so much better, so let's give him a chance to shine. And very quickly, before we get into this run, I want to say thank you to you all for your lovely words on the ride-on video. I was very nervous about posting that run because I made a complete mess of the red fight. However, that just means we have an excellent opportunity to demolish Ride-on's time when we get round to doing the redo stream. If you'd like to catch that live, or any other content that I post here on the channel, please do have a think about subscribing. If you want to have push notifications to let you know exactly when something new is out on the channel, make sure you've clicked the bell. And of course, if you enjoy my videos, please do think about pressing the like button, it really does help the channel out. In the meantime though, let's shift our focus to Aipom and look at our stats. We're level 5 with 21 HP. We're holding a berry and our moves are Scratch and Tail Whip. We have 12 in attack, 10 in defense, 9 in special attack, 10 in special defense, and 14 in speed. Overall, we've got very good starting stats as you'd expect from a single stage evolution. Let's get the graphics up and the challenge underway. As always, I'm going to show you the very first encounter we have with a wild Pokemon. It's a level 3 Rattata this time, we knock it out in a critical hit and we get on our way towards Mr. Pokemon's house. I really don't think we could have asked for a better start there. Now Aipom is in the fast experience group, and that means I'm going to do a little bit of grinding to take advantage of the free heal that Mr. Pokemon gives us. We're going to go up all the way to level 9 because that only took a couple of minutes. And while we're chatting with Mr. Pokemon, I just want to mention if I sound a little bit bunged up today, it's because I've got a new cat and I didn't realise just how allergic to cats I am. I absolutely wouldn't change him for the world, but goodness me, I've been full of the sniffles ever since I got him in the house here. But now as we're making our way back towards Cherry Grove City, I'll tell you that I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Totodile with Aipom. The reason I chose Totodile is because Chikorita is the most physically defensive of all the starter Pokemon, and Razor Leaf being a high critical hit ratio move means it also has the chance to throw a little bit of a spanner in the works with some of its attacks. But we defeated Chikorita incredibly easy in our first battle, so now let's head back to Professor Elm's lab where we'll tell the police officer that the rival's name is Triple Question Mark. We'll get the Pokeballs from Professor Elm's aid and we can make our merry way towards Violet City. And of course, in Violet City we have our first gym leader waiting for us. It's Falkner, the bird-type specialist, and he will lead with Pidgey. So Pidgey comes out and we start scratching it, and it's just 2 shots to knock it out. We grow to level 12 and learn one of the most useless moves in a solo Pokemon run in Baton Pass, and then it's just 3 shots to take care of the Pidgeotto. That was a very smooth first gym battle, and we get the Zephyr badge in a time of 6 minutes and 8 seconds. We get the Mudslap TM from Falkner, which will be helpful for the second rival battle, and we can now start taking a little trip south towards Azalea Town. We go through the Union Cave en route, picking up the Swift TM in there, and that TM being there means we can teach Swift over 10 levels sooner than we otherwise would have learnt it, and that 50% increase to our stab attack is going to work wonders for speeding Aipom's time up. In the meantime though, it's time to catch the HM friends. First up today is Paris, who's going to be helping us out with Cut, with Flash, with Dig and Sweet Scent, and second of course is Psyduck. Psyduck's going to be helping us out with Surf, Strength, Waterfall and Whirlpool. And with those 2 safely caught for another run, we can now teach Swift and Mudslap to our Aipom. Swift is being taught in place of Scratch, trading 5 PP for 20 base power, and then we can say goodbye to that useless Baton Pass in this run, and have Mudslap on our learn set as well. And now it is time for our second gym leader. This one's Bugsy, the bug-type specialist who leads with Metapod. Metapod tries flinging some string at us, but it's just 2 shots to knock it out. We decline Fury Swipes because honestly a multi-strike move with 80% accuracy is just bad. Kakuna goes down in a couple of hits and we are on to the Scyther. Even a critical hit Fury Cutter couldn't save the Scyther as we knock it out in 3 shots, and we get our second badge in a time of 13 minutes and 9 seconds. We can't be celebrating for too long though because it's that pesky Rival 2 just around the corner. This has killed our momentum in so many runs. Let's see if we get lucky this time. He leads with Ghastly and we Mudslap it to take it down into the red. We don't get sent to sleep and that means we are onto the Zubat. Zubat's an easy one-shot with Swift and we are onto the Bayleaf. A critical hit from Bayleaf takes us down to 37, a second critical hit takes us to 16, but we still didn't faint, and we're through Rival 2 on our very first attempt. That means we can now start making our way through the Ilex forest. We're going to grab cuts from the charcoal maker and we're going to get headbutts from the green head man staring at the tree. Even though cut is more powerful than headbutt, it's not 100% accurate, so we're going to be teaching headbutt in place of sand attack. I really don't like using accuracy as a way to get through these runs. It's just all RNG dependent and not reliable enough, so having two powerful stab moves on our learn set is much better. Just before we get into Goldenrod City, we're going to grab our third friend of the run. This is Abra, who only learns teleports, but teleport is so vital throughout the course of these runs. We'll grab the bike from the bike shop so that we can increase our movement speed, and then it's time for our fourth and final HM friend. This one is my personal favourite, Kenya the Spiro, who's going to be flying us here, there and everywhere. We'll go into the national park and pick up digs so that we can teach that to Paris, and then we'll have a little chat with Floria. Floria tells us about the pesky tree blocking the way, and I think it's about time we investigate that. Before we investigate the tree further though, we're going to make a brief pit stop into our third gym. This is Whitney's normal gym and she leads with Clefairy. Clefairy flinches, so it's 2 shots without any nonsense from it, and we're on to the cow. The cow starts to roll, but 3 headbutts later it goes down and we get Whitney's badge on our first try. Time of 19 minutes and 7 seconds for the plain badge, so let's now pop next door and have a little chat with Floria and her sister to find out exactly what's going on with this tree. As we're making our way to the tree, I just want to let you know the next run is going to be our 50th run together here on the channel, and I have something very special planned. But let's say goodbye to the tree for now and start making our way towards Ecruteak City. It's only a brief pit stop in Ecruteak as we're making our way east towards the Lake of Rage and Mahogany Town, because we're going to go and grab Hidden Power now along with the rare candy at the Lake of Rage. This Aipom has perfect DVs, and that means our Hidden Power type this time is Dark. We'll now teleport back to Ecruteak City, but I think we're going to need a few more levels before taking on the rival and Morty, so we'll take the opportunity to grab the Minceberry now, do a little bit of training on routes 38 and 39. We'll take care of business in Olivine City by grabbing strength from the man in the cafe, and we'll also ascend the lighthouse where Jasmine is supposedly looking after a very sick Ampharos. I still have my suspicions about her, you know. I'll have a little think about what Jasmine's really up to as we take on the Kimono Girls. We skipped this on our first 2 trips to Ecruteak City, but we definitely need it now in order to progress through the run, and as is to be expected with a strong normal type Pokemon, we had no issues with any of them. Our reward is served from the man staring at the stage, and we can now head into the Burnt Tower where the rival is waiting for our third battle. He leads with Haunter this time, and we use Mudslap to take it down into the yellow. He finishes himself off with Curse, and we're on to the Magnemite. Mudslap's just about strong enough to take care of Magnemite in one shot, and Zubat puts up no resistance either. His final Pokemon is Bayleaf, it's just 2 headbutts to knock it out, and we easily sail through our third rival battle. So we'll now drop through the floor and say our greetings to the legendary beasts. They don't have time for a chat though, they've got places to go and people to see, so we'll catch up with them a little bit later on, and in the meantime we'll go into Morty's gym. And just before we engage Morty in battle, we're going to say goodbye to Tail Whip and hello to Hidden Power. Tail Whip's surplus to requirements, so we might as well have a 4th attacking move on our learn set, and I can think of no better trainer than Morty to test it out on. He is our 4th gym leader together, and he leads with Ghastly. It's a one-shot with Hidden Power with Ghastly, and it's exactly the same against the Haunter. Gengar comes out to play, and it's very lucky that Hypnosis missed, because I forgot to equip the Mint Berry, and then he's only got 1 Haunter left. It's another one-shot with Hidden Power to knock it out, and we are making very good time here. We have the Fog Badge in 29 minutes and 31 seconds. With business already taken care of in Olivine City, we can make a very quick trip through there towards the open seas where we're heading to Cianwood City. The first order of business here in Cianwood is to grab the secret potion from the man in the dodgy shop, and then we'll make our way into the gym. This is the only gym where we have a type disadvantage, and just before we take on Chuck, we're going to battle Black Belt Knob. Knob has a Machop and a Machoke, and we take care of both of those without taking any damage whatsoever, and we grow to level 36. At level 36 we say goodbye to Mudslap and hello to Screech. Screech has a lot more use cases than Mudslap because it's twice as powerful, and we'll be trying that out later on. In the meantime though, this is Chuck, our 5th gym leader together who led with Primeape. It's just 2 shots to knock out the Primeape and we're already onto the Poliwrath. Poliwrath flinches when it matters, we knock it out in our 3rd shot and we are getting such good fortune. We get the Storm Badge in a time of 31 minutes and 38 seconds, and with the Storm Badge acquired we can have a little chat with Chuck's wife who gives us a Fly HM, and that lets us make our way to the Lake of Rage. At the Lake of Rage, the red Gyarados is waiting for us, and it was at this point I realised I don't think we've taken any damage at all since Rival 3. That is quite spectacular, especially for a normal type Pokemon. And after successfully calming the red Gyarados, we have a chat with the liar with the flyers, and instead of taking care of the rocket section once and for all, I decide it's time to make him wait. We're going to pick up the items that we're going to need later on in the run. The first thing we'll get is the King's Rock from the Slowpoke Well. We'll go back to Goldenrod City to pick up the rare candy just south of the daycare, and then we'll go into the Pokemart and do our shopping. I like to do 2 or 3 shops in these runs, and in this instance the first thing we're going to grab is Return. Our Aipom loves us enough for the ladies to give it to us, and then we're going to grab some punching TMs. We have more than enough money to grab 2 of each, and we're also going to get a couple of backup headbutts, just in case we need those later on as well. And now that we've made Lance wait around for a little bit, we'll take care of the rocket section. Nothing significant happened in the rocket section, so we'll have a little chat with Lance. He'll give us his knockoff Whirlpool HM. And while we're in the neighbourhood, I think we might as well take on Price while we're here. He is our 6th gym leader together. He's an Ice-type specialist who leads with Seal. We are already level 40 because of our fast level up group, and that means it's an easy one-shot with the Seal. Dugong comes out and gives us our first damage in a very long time with a weak Aurora Beam, and we're on to the Piloswine. Piloswine gets kept just out of healing range, we knock it out in 2 headbutts, and we get our 6th badge in a time of 37 minutes and 56 seconds. Let's now head back to Olivine City where Jasmine is waiting for us. But before even thinking about taking on Jasmine, we're going to have to learn Fire Punch. We might not have the best special attack in the world, but Fire Punch is our best option for taking care of those pesky steel types. So we'll ascend the lighthouse once more and give the secret potion to Jasmine. She pulls a torch from behind her back and blinds us with it, pretending that it's Amphi feeling better all along. So we're going to hotfoot her into the gym to check her handbag and knock her out once and for all. Jasmine, of course, is our 7th gym leader together. She's a steel type specialist who leads with Magnemite. Fire Punch is a one-shot on the Magnemite, so we're not getting paralysed on this run, and we can turn our attention to the Steelix. We take off just enough health of the Steelix to get her into healing range. She gets stuck in a healing loop, and it's 2 Fire Punches to knock it out, and we are through the gym I was most worried about in a time of 39 minutes and 23 seconds. Jasmine can be really difficult for normal types, but Aipom took it in its stride. And just after taking on Jasmine, before we take on the 4th rival battle, we're going to change up our learn set once more. We're going to replace Swift with Return, and we're also going to hold the King's Rock. Now that we don't have a flinching move on our learn set, the King's Rock makes an awful lot more sense, and it really does help out in a pinch. That 10% chance of flinching is not to be sniffed at. But here's the rival for the 4th time. He led with Golbat, but that's already gone away. We Fire Punch the Magnemite, and that says goodbye, and out comes the Haunter. We have Hidden Power Dark, and it's another easy one-shot, so he sends out Sneasel. We don't have the greatest special attack, so it's 2 shots on the Sneasel to knock it out, and his final Pokemon is Meganium. Meganium is going to be the bulkiest of the lot, but Return takes off a significant chunk of damage. The worst he could do to slow us down is poison us, which means an extra bit of menuing, but we got through the rival with the greatest of ease and we were able to rescue the director of the radio tower. Mary gives us a little bit of a thank you by giving us the pink bow, and we'll also pick up the radio card while we're here, and it's time to make our way east towards Blackthorn City. Before we get there though, we've got to traverse our way through the ice path where we'll pick up the Waterfall HM, and because we're teaching Waterfall and Whirlpool to Psyduck at this moment, we're also going to teach Ice Punch to Aipom. I'm not sure we're going to need it for Clair's gym, however later on Ice Punch could come in very handy, so it's worth trying just in case. We'll grab the Nevermelt Ice to give us a 10% boost to the Ice Punch, and now that we're in Blackthorn City proper, there's only one task to do, and that is to defeat Clair. She is our 8th and final Jotonian gym leader. She's a Dragon-type specialist who leads with Dragonair. Return is more than strong enough to take care of all 3 of Clair's Dragonair, and that means we're already onto her Kingdra. I should have used Ice Punch here in order to take her out of healing range and swap the moves around. However, we only lost a few seconds with a single heal. We grow to level 52 and we get the Rising Badge in a time of 52 minutes and 29 seconds. These are times I never expected to get with any Pokemon, let alone Aipom. We are doing so well together. So let's try and keep that up as we head towards the Pokemon League. We'll grab the rare candy just east of New Bark Town and we'll head into Victory Road. And just before we battle the rival for the final time, we're going to replace Ice Punch with Fire Punch. The rival has a Magneton on his team and we don't really have anything with our current learn set to take it on. And because we're on such a good pace, I want to make sure that we have every opportunity to one-shot all of his Pokemon. We get off to a very good start by doing exactly that against his Sneasel and his Golbat, and here comes that pesky Magneton. We Fire Punch it and it's a one-shot because Magneton doesn't have the greatest special defense. We swap to Hidden Power for the Haunter and that gets knocked out in one hit as well, so he sends out the Kadabra. Kadabra's another one-shot with Hidden Power and his final Pokemon is Meganium. Meganium sets up a Reflect, and if he led with that, this battle could have gone incredibly differently. However, as it stands, the rival didn't have the sense to do that in this particular run, so we can say goodbye to him and make our way into the Pokemon League. We'll heal up whether we need it or not, and now it's time to say thank you to the HM friends. So it's thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and merci to Paris. We'll pick up our 4 full restores because we'll either need them or we won't. And let's take a look at our stats going into the league. We are level 57 with 163 HP. Our moves are Return, Hidden Power Dark, Screech and Fire Punch. We're holding the King's Rock and our attack is 121. We have 104 in defense, 85 in special attack, 103 in special defense and 138 in speed. So with all around very good stats, it's time to take on the Elite Four. Our first Elite Four member is Will, who leads with Xatu. Xatu gets knocked out with a single return and Jinx follows suit. That brings us very nicely onto his Executor. We swap to Hidden Power for the Executor as he flinches because of the King's Rock, and his next Pokemon is Slowbro. It's a no-win situation for Slowbro because our special attack did over half damage, and if he used Amnesia we'd swap to our physical attack. The last Xatu doesn't put up any resistance either as we outspeed to one-shot. We're through Will on our first try and we can move on to Koga. Koga is the reason we still have Fire Punch on our learn sets because of that pesky Fortress, but before we get to the Fortress we've got to take on the Ariados. I underestimated Ariados and we ended up having to knock it out with a Return after using Fire Punch. We carried on with Return on the Venomoth but swapped to Fire Punch for the Fortress. That brings us on to the Muck, and we don't have anything too great against Muck, but we still managed to knock it out in 2 hits. His final Pokemon is Crobat. We don't quite knock it out, but he gets caught in a healing loop. With only 1 invasion increase, we managed to hit it twice in a row, and we get through Koga in a time of 58 minutes and 54 seconds. Before we take on Bruno, the second and final trainer with a type advantage over us, we're going to say goodbye to Fire Punch and hello to Ice Punch once more, and that's just because of his pesky Onix. We lead with Return against the Hitmontop and it goes down straight away, and here comes Legs the Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee doesn't put up any resistance whatsoever, but we do take some damage from the Hitmonchan because Mach Punch is a priority move. And then, against all odds, we survived a Cross Chop from Machamp. This was a Pokemon I was terrified of because we were on 0 resets, but we got through it. That just leaves his Onix with no special defense. We Ice Punch it in the mouth and we get through Bruno on our first try. Our next big opportunity to reset is against Karen. She leads with Umbreon. Sand attack hits, but I decide to persevere through. Up next is Vileplume. We use Return and we knock it out in 1 shot. That means no Stun Spore for us and we can move on to the Gengar. Gengar knocks itself out with Curse and we've only got 2 Pokemon left to go, but disaster strikes as we miss Return twice in a row. Murkrow takes us down into the red health as we finally knock it out. The final Pokemon is Houndoom. Return connects and we are through Karen on our first try. We have achieved what feels like the almost impossible and got through the league without a single reset to our name. Lance the Liar with the Flyer is our only obstacle between us and a 0 reset Johto. He leads with Gyarados, we use Return and he starts the Rain Dance. Another Return later and it gets knocked out. Here comes the Dragonite and we Ice Punch, but we don't quite knock it out. The Paralyzed Cure Berry activates though and we've got 1 more opportunity to be paralysed. Dragonite number 2 comes out, we Ice Punch it and we freeze it. This is exactly the luck we have been having all run and it's not changing where it matters. We two-shot the Aerodactyl, taking a little bit of damage from Hyper Beam. We return the Charizard to knock it out in one shot, and the last Pokemon is Dragonite. He uses Outrage to take us into the yellow, but it's all over for Lance. We get through him on our first attempt, and we are through the league in our fastest ever time. In this series, 1 hour, 1 minute and 55 seconds is a record through Johto. Aipom, a Pokemon that I expected to be mid-table at best, is making waves, and I could not be prouder. All the stars are aligning perfectly for Aipom. He's got the moves, he's got the stats, and he's got an awful lot of luck. So on this run in particular, don't you dare go anywhere. Kanto is next. And we're back, where it all began outside our home in Newbark Town. Professor Elm gives us a phone call, and I think it's because he wants to congratulate Aipom, but he just wants to get us out of the country because he needs to conspire with Jasmine. So he gives us the SS ticket to get us out of his hair and into Kanto proper, but before we take the boats, we're going to retrieve our HM friends. It's a warm welcome back to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and to Paris. They had a lovely little holiday, this time sunning themselves of the beaches of Ayia in Cyprus, and I got to hear all about it as we climbed the Sprout Tower. In this run, I was experimenting a little bit and decided to do Sprout Tower later on. You skip the rival cutscene if you do late Sprout Tower, and that saves about 10 seconds. We'll grab the rare candy from Mount Malta, and we'll also pick up the second one in the Whirl Islands. And a hop, skip and a jump takes us all the way to Kanto. And of course, the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're going to get another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokemon Fan Club. And with that safely packed away in our bag with the rest of our rare candies, we can get on our bike and cycle north to Saffron City. It's a fleeting visit this time, as we're going all the way to Celadon, where we're going to pick up a couple of bits and pieces. We're going to grab the leftovers from the bin in the cafe, we're going to get the PP up from the bush, and then we're going to get Erica's gym badge. She's our 9th gym leader of this run, and she leads with Tangela. We use Return against the Tangela to knock it out in one shot, so she tries again with Jumpluff. Jumpluff suffers the same fate as Tangela, and it's no different for the Victory Bell. 3 one-shots to start our journey in Kanto, and that becomes 4 one-shots as we instantly knock out the Blossom. We had a great Erica fight there, and the Rainbow Badge in a time of 107.49. Up next is Misty. Misty's a water-type specialist who leads with Golduck, but Golduck has already said goodbye. She tries again with Quagsire, but we instantly one-shot that as well, and here comes Lapras. Lapras is the bulkiest of all her Pokemon, but it's still not strong enough. That means it's an easy one-hit on the Starmie, and we get the Cascade Badge in a time of 1 hour, 12 minutes and 19 seconds. I don't think these gym leaders are going to get any harder with Sabrina. Sabrina's only got 3 Pokemon, and not a single one of them is particularly physically defensive. So it's goodbye to Espeon, to Ra, to Mr. Mime, and see you later to the Alakazam, as they all get knocked out in one hit, and we get our next badge in a time of 1 hour, 13 minutes and 2 seconds. Let's see if Lieutenant Surge can change the fate of the Cantonian gym leaders. I'm deciding to risk this battle without Fire Punch, and that gives him a chance to hit us with Magneton. Before we get to Magneton though, we say goodbye to Raichu and Electrode number 1, and here is the chance for it to go wrong. But he uses Double Team, we hit through it, and that is it for Surge. His final 2 Pokemon are another easy pair of one-shots, and that means we have defeated Surge and got the Thunder Badge in a time of 1 hour, 14 minutes and 25 seconds. Our final gym leader in our rapid fire gauntlet is Brock. Brock is a rock-type specialist who leads with Graveler. Graveler's got pitiful special defense and gets knocked out to a single Ice Punch. As we discovered in our last run, Rhyhorns is somehow even worse and gets knocked out in the same way. And then we get to the Omastar. A combination of Return and Ice Punch knocks that out in 3 shots, and we're on to the Onix. Onix is another poor special defensive Pokemon and gets knocked out with a single Ice Punch, and his final Pokemon is Kabutops. It's 3 returns to knock it out, so this was a slower gym battle, but we got through on our first try in a time of 1 hour, 15 minutes and 37 seconds. Because we're on such a good pace, I decided to slow down just a little bit and have a catch up with my friend 3Drill. It's been a while since I was able to catch up with him properly, and I wanted to know how the honey making was going. Apparently it's going very, very well, although the bees do get angry when he tries to take them. But he and the bees were more than happy to give us a little bit of extra training in preparation for Red. He and the bees wished us the very best of luck for the rest of the run as we started making our way towards Cinnabar Island. On Cinnabar Island, Blue is waiting for us, and Blue tells us all about this nasty volcano that erupted. However, I was chatting with some friends the other day and I realised, where the heck was the volcano in Gen 1? You don't see it in Gen 1, in Gen 3 or the Gen 7 remakes. I'm starting to think that the entirety of Gen 2 is just a pack of lies. We're going to take our frustrations out on Blaine, the Fire-type leader. He is our 14th gym leader together and he led with Macago. Macago swore at us, which means it was 3 shots to knock it out, but the Bumhead Fire Duck was a 1 shot. Exactly the same against the Rapidash, so it was a relatively quick battle, and we get the badge in a time of 1 hour, 17 minutes and 14 seconds. Our penultimate gym battle is everyone's favourite pushover, it's Janine. Janine led with Crobat, but Crobat's already gone before I finished her intro. Weezing goes down in much the same way, so she tries again with an identical Weezing. She doesn't get any better luck on turn number 2, so she brings out an Ariados. Ariados is an easy one-shot this time, and her final Pokemon is Venomoth. She doesn't even bother with the die hit this time, and we knock it out straight away, and we get the Soul Badge in a time of 1 hour, 18 minutes and 3 seconds. And that just leaves Blue left to go. He's our final gym leader who leads with Pidgeot. We take off roughly half damage with an Ice Punch as he mirror moves it back to us. We finish it off with a second Ice Punch and he sends out Alakazam. In hindsight, return would have been better here, but the pressure was getting to me. We were on a 0 reset run and I was panicking. And when that happens, you end up in the super effective fallacy. Sometimes a super effective move is not the best move to use, and that was definitely the case for the Alakazam. We got a little bit of luck on the ride on and managed to freeze it so it didn't set up a sandstorm. We one-shot the Gyarados and we are onto his Executor. The super effective fallacy comes into play again, but I remember this time and we knock it out with return, and the final Pokemon is Arcanine. He uses extreme speed because the rain is up, but we still one-shot it with return to knock it out, and we get our final gym badge in a time of 1 hour, 19 minutes and 18 seconds, and Aipom has done something that only Ursaring before him has managed to do. We have had 0 resets through 16 gyms, 4 Elite Four members, 1 champion and 5 rival battles. Regardless of Aipom's finishing time now, he has something to be proud of. He had the perfect run up to Red, and that is incredibly rare. So let's now see if our luck continues. This is Red, our final battle of the run, and he leads with Pikachu. Pikachu's an easy one-shot, so 1/6 of his team is already irrelevant. I try feeling out with Hidden Power, but that is not the play against the Espeon. Return knocks it out though, and we are on to the Snorlax. Snorlax takes one look at us, does a giant body slam, takes us into the red, and then a second body slam knocks us out. Let's try again. This time we're going to use Return straight off the bat against the Espeon. Pikachu's irrelevant, we know that already, and Espeon gets taken into the yellow with Return. A second Return knocks it out, but he set up a Reflect. Return is doing barely anything at all against the Snorlax, and now we're having to rely on the Freeze. On turn number 3 we get very lucky and we freeze it, but we're only on 34 HP. I start to screech to stall for time. I want to get as much health back as possible and then just knock it out. After 3 screeches I decide enough's enough and we move on to the Venusaur. I was in 2 minds about which move to use. I could have used Return, but I went for the Freeze to try and gain more health. That, however, wasn't the right play and we got knocked out, but Charizard would have KO'd us with Flamethrower regardless. We're going to go up 3 levels to level 74 and try again. We know the Pikachu is irrelevant at this point, it's all about Espeon and onwards. We get it into the yellow, but Psychic gets a special defense drop. All but one of Red's Pokemon are special attackers, so that was a bit of a disaster. We're going to carry on though to try and get as much info about our attacking capabilities for all of his Pokemon. We're through the Snorlax and the Venusaur is ostensibly free. It's either going to use Sunny Day or it's going to use Solar Beam, so it's just a chance to regain health. Here comes the Charizard, but the Spadef drop means that we are easily knocked out with Flamethrower. We're going to go up another 3 levels, so we're now at level 77 to see if that makes any difference to our defense. We're through the Pikachu and Espeon is still a 2-shot, but we're taking it into the red now. We don't get the Spadef drop and we're back onto the Snorlax. We're just going to go for Return this time against the Snorlax and not try for the Freeze, because that means he only gets 1 turn of Body Slam against us. We're on 68 HP, growing up to 81 as the Venusaur comes out, and once again Venusaur is just a chance to regain even more health. We're just under half health as the Charizard comes out once more, and he still manages to finish us off in 1 hit. That Spadef drop earlier was meaningless, we wouldn't have survived either way, so we're going to use our last 4 rare candies and grow to level 81. Once again, the Pikachu's irrelevant and we can shift our focus onto the Espeon. It's not quite a one-shot and we get hit very hard by Psychic. We knock it out on our second turn, and I would have loved that crit on our first turn, but here comes the turning point. Charizard is now a two-shot. We take no damage from Charizard and we take no damage from Venusaur either. He's used Sunny Day this time though, and that means we are going to have to be very careful against the Charizard. We use Return and we take it into the yellow, Flamethrower hits and we survive on 26. We knock it out with our next return and only Blastoise is between us and our final time. He uses Blizzard, but Blizzard misses. We finish it off with another return. We grow to level 82 and we have defeated Red with only 6 resets. Our time is 1 hour 25 minutes and 9 seconds. It's not quite enough to beat Kangaskhan, but it is our fastest Johto Pokemon. My opinion of Aipom has significantly changed after this run. It was a pleasure to work with and got a time he deserved. That does, however, mean that Venusaur's in the drop zone and Quilava moves on to page number 2. And of course, we still have Makago all the way down in 49th place. But with that, we are done. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. If you've enjoyed this video, please do think about leaving it a like. If you want to see more content just like this, then please do click the subscribe button. If you've got anything to say about Aipom's run, leave it in the comments down below. And until next time, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.